Hi, this is Tim Meyer from Keep Yourself Relevant. Thanks again for joining. This is a continuation of a video that I did a couple weeks ago on a book that I liked and find very useful for working in org change management. And it's Say What They Can't Unhear, The 9 Principles of Lasting Change by Tamsin Webster. And it's part 2. So let's get started. So we left off after the fifth principle. So this is the sixth principle. Pain is the enemy of long-term change. What this principle means is pain is something we naturally seek to avoid. We should refrain a change to reduce emotional, mental, and where appropriate, physical pain. In other words, humans are wired to avoid pain both in the moment and over time. Ask for the largest action that's easiest for stakeholders to sustain. Why does it matter? People are more likely to adopt behaviors that are in line with their previous actions and beliefs. Breaking it down into smaller, more comfortable steps can ease the transition. What gets in the way? No human will continue to do something that long term causes pain, emotional or physical. People resist change if the effort to outcome ratio is off, meaning if it's more effort than the benefit, they won't support that change. And then putting it into practice, if the goal is required long lasting change, try reducing the pain. Principle 7 is when two truths fight, only one wins. What this principle means, all change involves choice. In other words, change requires choice. In a battle of beliefs, the strongest source of self survives. Why does it matter? First-rate intelligence is to hold two opposed ideas and still retain the ability to function. When put head-to-head, one idea is inevitably stronger. What gets in the way? Humans are delightful hypocrites. Our values can shift depending on context. And then putting it into practice. Offer arguments and align your shared values, but respect the right to deliberate and decide. Principle 8, you can't want it more than they do. What this principle means is change is all about alignment. It only happens when someone believes a change will give them something they want. In other words, desire can overcome any objection, but yours is no substitute for theirs. You can only influence understanding. Why does it matter? All stories start with desire. Given a choice, it's harder for someone to say not no to what they already have or want. What gets in the way? Benefit becoming tops the list of most common pitfalls. A no uttered from the deepest conviction is better than a yes merely uttered to please. Putting into practice. Remove the neutral position. And our ninth principle, which is our last one, there's no such thing as believer's remorse. What this principle means is after hasty decisions or impulse purchases spurred on by excitement, you're not sure the decision is right. And again, this is buyer's remorse or believer's remorse. In other words, people don't regret the decisions they believe are right. Instead of asking for leaps of faith, build bridges of belief. Why does it matter? When a person does not understand the change you are presenting, they won't act on it. What gets in the way? Common mistake is to start from a perspective that it's clear to you, but alien to your audience. Putting into practice. The sweetest two words in any negotiation are actually, that's right. So that's what I have today for part 2 of Say What You Can't Unhear. Again, it's a book I highly recommend if you're managing a project or trying to perform a large organizational change. This book has the 9 principles that will help you be successful in managing your change. Thanks for joining. Talk to you soon.